And wherever I am is the area that's recorded. So yeah.
Okay, and there is the link to the training course website. And so we are trying to build a culture of empathy, and we are trying to have everyone, all 7+ billion people, learn these simple skills and be able to listen to each other in an empathic manner. I will go to the course website, and I'll just quite.
Should we do the intros first? Since it's a
I'm
small
sorry.
group.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Okay. We'll go around, we'll do intros. My name is Bill Filler. I've been working with Edwin for about 4 years in the Empathy Circle. I'm a retired special education teacher. And in my work, I realized the power of listening to students who are very challenged and how that helped them overcome their challenges. I'll pass it on. And Larry, could you introduce yourself?
Just name, location, and why you're interested in the Empathy Circle.
So hi, I'm Larry. I'm in Florida. I'm a retired occupational therapist, and I love the Empathy Circles. I think it's a missing link to humanity becoming humanity. I'll stop there.
Okay, Edwin.
Yeah, Edwin Raj from the San Francisco Bay Area. I just find the Empathy Circles is the kind of the most effective first step gateway practice for learning empathy skills and deep listening skills. So I just want to spread it everywhere in the world, just for better well-being for the world.
Great. Anne?
I'm Anne Jordan, and I'm in the southwest of England. I've been doing empathy facilitating for, I don't know, two to 3 years. Mm-hmm. And committed to spreading it around the world. I particularly focus some of that energy within Extinction Rebellion, and I'm a retired teacher and care passionately about helping the world to change in what tiny ways that I can. And I think building a culture of empathy is a significant part of improving our lives and our world.
Great. And BJ, you're muted now, but could you introduce yourself? And are you up for facilitating a breakout room today?
Greetings. Good morning. I will try and attempt to do that. Yes, I'm BJ Guy. I'm a credentialed distinguished mediator here in Dallas, Fort Worth. I primarily do workplace redress mediation and divorce mediation. And I'm excited about the Empathy Circle. Yeah.
So BJ has just taken the facilitation training, and she's coming here to get some practicum in facilitating empathy circles. All right. And I'll go on, and let me apologize beforehand for mispronouncing your name. I'm sure I will do that. Please feel free to correct me. And it may take me several times, but I'll get it right. I won't give up until I get it right. So Saya, if that's.
Hi, this is Saye. I'm from Iran. Now I'm living in Turkey, Istanbul, and I think I'm interested in empathy and empathy seekers because I can't imagine my life without it.
Thank you and welcome. Danny?
Hi, I'm Danny Reeves, and I'm interested in empathy as part of what I do every day. And I know that it helps so many people, and I've worked with students and managers, all sorts of people, and I see that I was missing that first step to get them involved in being empathetic with others. So I work lots one-on-one to really transfer skills of mindfulness and empathy. But I'm really interested in this group to see how to work with a group of people. Also, I'd be interested to see if it works with people with intellectual disabilities with whom I also work currently. So yeah, very open to learning this. Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
And where are you calling from, Danny?
Yes, I'm in New Zealand.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll put, but I was in special ed, I might have some strategies for that, for working with this table. Okay. Sarah.
Hello, everyone. I'm visiting here from Pickerington, Ohio, and I've participated a few times before. So the reason I'm here is I recognize very much inside of me that I've really lost the skills that I used to have with empathy and empathetic listening, especially. And it seems to come from aging, a lot of it. So I'm kind of curious on that end, how the correlation is. And I'm a resiliency student for life, so I'm always doing a lot of studies and trying to connect the missing link. And you guys are the missing link.
Okay. Thank you. And here's one, Tani, if I pronounced that correct.
Yeah, hi, that's correct. My name
Okay.
is Tani. I'm coming from Washington State, and I've had friends that researched empathy, and they all kind of found that empathy was a skill, a muscle that could be built and practiced. And upon learning that, I mean, it's pretty easy to see the value in empathy in the world and how much it could do for a lot of world problems today. So learning that, I feel like, you know, I want to do my part in participating, but also see, you know, how I can contribute to showing that to other people too with those skills.
Great, welcome. Shayla. You're muted, Shayla. And correct me if I put, sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I have to get back into this unmute habit.
Okay.
I'm Shaila. I live in Sunnyvale, California. I've taken the empathy facilitation training before, but I continually discover that I can improve my listening skills. And I expect that I'm going to be improving till I die, or rather I hope to be improving. There's a lot of scope for improving depending on the situations you're in, especially if you have children. But anyway, I'm dropping in today to continue to practice my empathy skills. Thank you.
Great, well, welcome. We're glad to have you. Andrea.
Hi, I'm from Leeds, United Kingdom. I've been to this group a couple of times before. I missed one and it was great the next time when I came. I was so looking forward to going on Saturday because that's when my group is weekly, and I managed to kind of don't know how, but lock myself out and not be able to attend, automatically lock out. And thanks for laughing, because I amuse myself. Anyway, I'm here today and I'm not in trouble and it suits me fine. And whilst I'm learning about the empathy circle and how it works, I'm learning about my adult ADHD and how, you know, what I do, how I manage to not get into very important meetings. And I've got to not get upset about it because I'm getting better. I'm here.
Good. Well, glad to have you here. Rousseau.
Yeah, I'm calling in from Sydney, Australia, although I am from Japanese origin. I'm based in Sydney at the moment. I'm very interested in empathy, not only from a personal perspective, but in terms of how empathy is just so important in terms of resolving social conflict and encouraging social change. And I'm very interested in seeing how that can be used in kind of a large group context.
Great, great. Well, hopefully we can be helpful. Faith.
Hello, my name is Faith. I am calling from Dallas, Texas. I was invited by Ms. Dina Creasy, and I'm so glad to be here today. I teach middle school, which for those who are not here in the States, that is my grade level is 13 and 14-year-olds. And I'm interested, our school is pushing to help teach students social emotional skills. And I think empathy is one of the bigger, larger of those skills. And so I'm here to learn, not just for myself, but also to help build those skills in my students, because I see that it will be beneficial to them. to be more empathetic to each other and to people in their lives. So I'm here to learn and excited.
Great, Faith. And I also taught middle school, and I do have an Empathy in Schools, program. I have some various strategies. So I'll put my contact information in the chat, and if it fits, contact me and we can talk.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure. And here's Dina. Dina's also taken the training, and she just, go ahead, take it away, Dina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dina Creasy, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. Glad to be here. I've came to some of the overviews, and then I attended the Saturday class. So I just want to keep on learning and spreading the word everywhere I go. So I'm glad to see Faith here, and Miss Mary came back. So I want to help you all spread it to the 8 billion people in the world. So yes, I'm excited.
Great to have you, Dina. And Mary, welcome back, Mary. You're muted still.
Yes, I'm back, Bill. I'm back.
Yay.
Yes, woo! It's a great time. Dina, thank you once again. I'm here in Dallas as well. And I enjoyed myself so much. I am back. It's always good to see so many people from around the whole world. I can't believe it. But I'm excited. I appreciate the opportunity to hear from other individuals and sharpen my listening skills. That's all, folks.
Great. Thanks, Mary. And Kevin Love, who I'll just say is not the forward for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm sure you get that a lot. So could you introduce yourself and tell us where you're calling from?
Yeah, I wish I could say he was my son, because I wouldn't even be working. I mean, what goodness. The guy's phenomenal. I'm actually in Fort Worth, Texas. So it's kind of interesting that there's 3 or so people here from Dallas. I think from what I've heard so far, Tawny kind of, not that I'm saying I'm like Tawny, but my thing is I'm a highly technical individual, perhaps to a fault. So I usually tend to kind of fill people in before they finish their sentence. And my wife says you need to learn to be empathetic and to shut your mouth and listen more. That's where I'm coming from.
Great. Well, great to have you here. I think you'll find it useful.
Thank you.
And Isa, or Isa, again, you're muted, and we apologize in advance for mispronouncing your name.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. So yes, I'm Isa Brown from Aruba. I'm coming for the second time. And I'm looking forward to learning how to really listen on a deeper level.
Okay. All right. So I don't think I missed anyone. If I did, please let me know if somebody hasn't had a chance. I think we all have. And then I will go, Edwin, unless there's something else, I will go and share the empathy course with on the site. Okay. All right, and we got that there. I can minimize that. And, okay, great. So this is the training, and you can get it by seeing that. That's also in the chat. What this is a picture of is a cohort, training cohort. At the end, we all do jazz hands. And this is an introductory circle, kind of a drop in to give you some experience and see what you want to go, what you want to do next. I'm going to go quickly through here, but there's a training website right there that'll take you through the website step by step. So it's much more in depth than this, if you wish. So if you go to the website, again, bestempathytraining.com, we're not shy, then you can see this. And if you missed any gaps or you have any questions, they might be answered here. Our vision, again, is to create a culture of empathy across the planet. And we want to train specifically, what does that mean? Empathy is thrown around a lot. What is it? And I think it's something like You know empathy when you've experienced it. And this is what we try to do in the Empathy Circle, is to give people an experience of being listened to in an empathic manner. So this is an open source training, and that means you can use it and you can amend it or do other things like that with it. Just give credit and link back to this training site. We'll also help you to co-host, co-design, or co-develop and co-promote training for the mutual benefit of everyone. The training is free, but we do have a donation sliding scale, $0 to $300. And everybody here that is here is donating their time. Anyway, if you feel like you want to do that, we encourage that, and you can do it on PayPal or whatever. But again, it would easily cost around $400, maybe even more. There is, if you are interested after this in taking the facilitation training, and that consists of 5 classes. They're either on Mondays or Saturdays, and they're listed here on this website. You will need to take a 2 Empathy Circle prerequisite, just so we make sure. And so that means you come here, this is 1 circle, this counts as 1. If you come to another open cafe, that's 2. And so then you've got your prerequisite. But we do ask that you come here and take it with us, so we make sure that you have the basics down. There's the Empathy Training and Introduction Cafes. That's where you are. So we talked about the training time commitment. Just to re-emphasize that if you do decide to take the facilitation training, please show up and take the whole training, because Edwin spends a lot of time mixing and matching and putting people together. And then when you take 1 or 2 people out of that, you have to go back and do it again. So we understand if their life happens, and so we can handle that. But if at all possible, please attend all trainings. Each cohort is an ongoing series, and you can take the training as many times as you want. You start off, when you take it the first time, you're a participant. And then if you wish to, you can take it again as many times as a participant, but then you can also come back and start to become a trainee. And then you'll start to slowly learn how to present certain parts of the training. And then if you do that, then you become a trainer. And that's when you can, present the whole training and this cafe, for instance, what I'm doing now. There is a certificate of completion. If you attend all, and so sometimes that's very good for work. We are currently looking into providing continuing education credits, but at this point we are not, so we'll look into that. And we're here, and part of the other thing is that you become part of a network of facilitators. I can say that I've called on facilitators and they've come out. And in support, it's really very heartening. And so, you're part of a community. So if you want to host a circle or something like that, as many people have, they say, hey, I'm doing this, I need some facilitators. And then there's an email list, and it goes out to everybody, all the facilitators. And the response I found has been really heartening. It's very good. Again, here's how you can sign up. Let's see, and so there's more references. I'll stop the sharing, and I invite Edwin or any of the other participants or trainees to add anything that I think I might have missed. Are we good?
I think you got it. Just questions and answers.
All right. So are there any questions or answers? There's one.
Somebody asked for the site again. It's bestempathytraining.com.
Yeah, bestempathytraining.com. And we'll put it in the chat as well.
Is it okay to take a photograph of like a screenshot of it or not?
Yes, you can. But if you if you go down to the in the chat, the 3 dots at the top, it says save chat. And that'll automatically save everything that's been put in the chat up to that time. So either way, yes.
I'm trying to do that.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Okay, yeah, and if you have it, and then you might want to say, it says show and finder. You might want to go there and then drag it to your desktop so you can find it again, if you can. Okay,
Bill, there's a question in the chat.
about, I think that Ann, how
about-
many sessions do you say? Oh, 5 sessions if you take the facilitation training.
And
Thanks.
before that, to take 2 intro cafes.
Right,
Right.
and this counts as 1, so you're halfway home there.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, just from a corporate training perspective, how
Right.
does that look?
Well, there are various professionals here, and also that who have given corporate trainings around empathy. It is a core because, excuse me, because communication is so key, and so I would say that probably if I were going to present it to a corporation, I would do an in-service and maybe do a cafe like this. And then that would be the introduction, and then you can talk about how you can amend it. Like, for instance, our first facilitation was done at the height of the pandemic with doctors in New York who are going through it, and they were very stressed out. So they didn't have 2 hours in the middle of like the emergency room to just sit down and have an empathy circle. But what they were able to do is to say, 5 minutes at that shift change, a little empathic listening. And that seemed to be very beneficial. So there are ways that once you internalize the skills, you can then, practice them in whatever time frame is available. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, because having done training in the past, I mean, okay, granted, mostly technical, but I know that when I train, I learn. And so the more I train on a particular subject, the better I get at it.
Right.
So I'm looking at trying to get, I really am trying to work on becoming more empathetic. So I guess that's where I'm coming from.
Sure. Yeah. I think you'll find it that it is experiential. So I won't say too much more about that and just let you experience it. And I think that you'll get those insights that you're looking for. All right. So if there are no more questions, we want to get you into the empathy circle. I don't think we need to do a fishbowl today, Edwin.
Yeah, I can show the intro, just
Yeah,
a quick
okay.
intro, yeah.
All right. So then what we'll do is that Edwin will show a quick 6-minute video on how to do the empathy circle. The base is very simple. And then we'll go into breakout rooms and you'll have the experience. Take it away, Edwin.
Okay, this is just a quick intro of how to take part. I'm Edwin Rutch, founding director of the Center for Building a Culture of Empathy. I'd like to welcome you to this short presentation on how to take part in a basic empathy circle. So next, let's look at the step-by-step how to take part. An empathy circle starts with 2 to 7 participants. Here on the screen, we have 4 participants, which I find is an ideal number. There are 4 basic roles, and the roles rotate among the participants as the empathy circle unfolds. 1, the speaker, is the first person to speak. 2 is active listener who actively listens to the speaker. There's the silent listeners, they quietly observe and witness. And the facilitator who organizes, schedules, and hosts the circle. They also do the timekeeping, and they have some experience with the process and help keep participants in the process. However, everyone has the responsibility to hold the process and the practice. So to begin with, the facilitator will start the empathy circle. They welcome the participants. They lead introductions if the participants don't know each other. The facilitator invites participants to give short introductions, for example, their name, where they're from, and something personal about themselves. The facilitator then reviews the empathy circle process to remind everyone how it works. They announce the discussion topic, if there is one. Even if there is a topic, you can always talk about what is alive for you. That is what is on your mind in the moment. And 5, they set the speaker time limits, perhaps 5 minutes, for example. And the facilitator then asks who would like to start to be the first speaker. So at that point, the participant volunteers to be the first speaker. As speaker, you select who will be your active listener, and you can select anyone that you want. You speak about the topic given or whatever is alive for you, and so you'll speak a bit until you have maybe expressed an idea or two, and then you want to pause to give the active listener a chance to recap what they understand that you are saying and feeling. If you say too much, the listener may have difficulty in reflecting it. As the active listener, you are listening to the speaker to get an understanding of what they're saying and what is important to them. You are giving them your full attention as a supportive companion on their inner journey and exploration. When the speaker pauses, you recap your understanding of what they said and how they feel by reflecting the essence of that in your own words. You can summarize, paraphrase, or even say the speaker's words back to them. Even though you may have a strong impulse to respond with your own ideas, judgments, analysis, advice, and sympathy, or even questions, resist the impulse to do so because these common responses block the speaker from moving along their internal journey. You will be able to say whatever you want when it is your turn to be the speaker. If you don't reflect the understanding to the speaker's satisfaction, they can always say it again. Then as speaker, you check, do you feel understood to your satisfaction? If you do not feel understood, you can say it again, perhaps in different words. If you do feel understood, continue sharing. Again, after speaking a bit, pause to give your active listener a chance to recap their understanding of what you said. As the active listener, you again share your understanding of what the speaker said and meant. The cycle of speaking and reflecting continues until you, as the speaker, do not have anything else you'd like to say, or until you get a signal from the timekeeper. If you get a signal from the timekeeper, then finish up what you're saying in a sentence or two. After you get a final reflection, you can end your turn by saying something like, "I feel fully heard," or something like that to indicate you are done with your speaking turn. At that point, the roles then rotate. The active listener becomes the speaker. The person they select becomes the new active listener. For everyone having equal time, it is good to select someone that hasn't spoken lately, but it is your choice. The others in the circle become the silent listeners. This process of taking turns in speaking and active listening continues for whatever time is allotted for the empathy circle. And this was just a very short introduction. The best way to learn the practice is taking part and doing it. There is more in-depth material on taking part in an empathy circle and facilitating one at empathycircle.com. Thank you for listening. So that was just a quick introduction on how to take part in the empathy circle. Is to say the best way is just to get into the circle and take part in it. Let's see, we have somebody wanting to join. So this will be the last person to join.
Okay.
We'll lock the room after this. Oh, I think they had been here, maybe dropped out. So
Yeah, right.
Kind of put them into a room. A couple of people joined a little bit late, so you'll just figure it out within the empathy circle itself. Just observe how the process works. We're going to go into the rooms for about 60, 70 minutes, 75 minutes. I'll give a heads up when we come back to the full room to debrief. Our question in the circle is why are you interested in empathy, the empathy circle, or the training, or whatever is alive for you? So you can just talk about whatever is on your mind. And we have actually 4 circles that we're going to be doing. I'll be facilitating one. The second one, BJ, do you feel up to facilitating that circle? Bill will be there.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. So these intro cafes are also a way for people who have taken the training to get some experience in facilitating. So we try to have facilitators who have taken the training, and this is a bit of experience for them. And then Dina, are you up for, where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. I see. Okay. You want to facilitate one with, and you'll have Anne to support you sort of as a backup. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay, great. And then Shyla, are you up to facilitating one with Larry supporting you? You're muted.
Yes, I just
Okay.
caught myself. I'd be happy to. It's a surprise. I was planning to coast by being just a participant, but
It's fine. It's up to you.
yeah, sure. I'll do
Okay,
it.
great. Yeah, and Larry will be there too to support you too if you're needing
Hi, Larry.
support. So it's just a matter of timekeeping. The facilitator is the first listener, and you go right into it. You don't need to explain anything. We've already done an explanation of the whole process. So here we go into the rooms, and one room will stay here with me, and I think we're all set. See you in the circle. Okay, it's the 5 of us. I guess maybe bring up the stopwatch here. I'll keep time. So we'll have, maybe we'll do 4-minute turns since there's a little bit larger group. Let me just set a timer here. And I'll be the first listener, and this room is being recorded, so just remember that. Who would like to start and speak to me? And the question is why are you interested in the empathy circles and the trainings, or whatever is alive for you? And you have 4 minutes.
I'd be down to start. If no one.
Okay, I'm listening.
Cool. So I felt when I was younger that empathy came very natural to me. It wasn't something I actively practiced, but at the same time, I think I was practicing just because I enjoyed it and naturally would do it. As I get older and career oriented, and then I think his name was Kevin, he talked about the tech thing, about how he gets very technical. I've noticed that the more I study a lot, the more I stress a lot, the more that I have to analyze things with using numbers or memorization. I think that time has made me feel like I'm getting away from this natural ability to empathize with other people.
Yeah, let me reflect that back. So I'm hearing that growing up, you felt like you're a very natural, empathic person, but now you've gotten into the into the careers and the working and the analytic and in the tech and the business world, that you're sort of getting away from that empathic sensitivity.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the gist of it. And as I change, I just feel like I want to, it might take a little more focus than it did as a kid to put the work into training my brain, because I did learn that it's actual neural connections to empathize, in research. And so training those again, and it's fun. There's nothing wrong with that. So.
Yeah, so you're saying that maybe you need to spend more sort of time really training your mind to rewire your brain for those neural ways of empathically listening and being. And you're good with putting in the time. It's fun, yeah. Actually.
Edwin's really good at this. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I'm hearing you really think I'm good at this. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. I didn't even need my 4 minutes.
Wow, you still have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I mean, I can add more. But...
Add more. You got now, yeah, a minute and a half.
Yeah. Okay. Well, something that I thought was very relevant, either because it's correlative or it's just is art. the fact that as I've gotten older, I also can't do my art as well, right? When I paint, I can't naturally paint as much as I could, draw as artistically as I could. And I can't help but feel the similar feeling of loss as I do for my lack of empathy, as I do for my lack of art. And I wonder if they're related.
Oh, okay, so as you've gotten older, there's been sort of a feeling of loss. You haven't been able to empathize as well and do your art as well, and there's a feeling of loss, and you're wondering if that is somehow connected.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'm trying to take time, because I'm a very time planner, like I said, kind of a technical person now that I'm older, trying to, just as I take time for meetings, take time for things in my agenda for productivity, I'm taking time for art, and I'm taking time, as I am here today, taking time to practice empathy, to be mindful, and those other things that I know that I value.
So you're saying that you really need to take time, and you are taking time for the things that you value, and just like everything, you have to sort of budget that time for it, and you're committed to, it sounds like you have a commitment to doing that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, that was the time. That was 4 minutes. So
thank you.
Yeah, I'll speak to Syed. Is that, if I might speak? Yeah, let me hit the timer. Well, it's great. Yeah, I'm just really excited that everyone's here. We've been having really good, turnout and engagement with the empathy and the empathy training, and it just means a lot to me, that because I think that empathy is really what can solve or address a lot of the world's problems. So I'm just feeling grateful for everyone's participation.
So I hear your excitement and your gratitude for people from around the world to be here and take time to share about empathy.
Yeah, and I just want to spread it. I just want to get the whole world kind of just learning this basic practice. It's like, there's a lot of other processes that you can do, but the basic empathy circle practice I've seen is sort of like the first step foundational practice. It's very simple. It's core to all the other sort of trainings that I've seen, and it's just very reproducible. So it's something I think we can spread really around the world very quickly once we get momentum.
Mm-hmm. And I hear that you think it's really important. It's the main and first step for the other things about NVC. Actually, empathy is more important.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, can I request to just slow down a bit, because
okay.
English
Yes.
is not my native language.
I will slow down. I want to be clear, this is not NVC, that it's the same foundation built on Carl Rogers' work of empathic listening. So I see it as it's a core practice, but it's not NVC per se.
So yeah, you're correcting. Actually, I misunderstood that. I connected empathy with NVC, but you want to say that it's actually another
process or another root. It's the same root. It has the same root.
From Carl Rogers.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that you say you're from Iran and you're living in Turkey, and they're both sort of authoritarian countries. And we're starting a democracy circle, which is the empathy circle, but for fostering democracy. And yeah, so it just kind of reminded me of that.
And you said it's interesting for you that I'm from Iran. You're speaking from someone from Iran and living in Turkey, and what the work that you're going to do about fostering democracy.
Yeah, exactly. And the empathy circle is the core of the democracy circle, because I think we can foster and support democracy with empathy too, that empathy is like the core to democracy. So I see the practice as something we can spread in sort of democracy movements too. And sorry for speaking too fast.
And I hear that you think empathy is the basic thing for spreading democracy in politics and in world.
Yep, I feel very heard. Thank you.
All right,
Fully heard.
So I can speak to Danny, or is she the facilitator?
I'm facilitating. You can speak to anyone you want. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, happy to listen.
Thank you. Just my heart is beating so fast. I got so nervous and excited while I was listening to Edwin, and I had this voice in my head. No, what if you miss something? What if you can't do this? And oh, you've been doing this for years, and now that you have to show this in this room, I felt so nervous, and at some point I felt angry. I thought like, what am I doing here? It came, my brain, my mind was telling me that it's so mechanic, and I don't like to do it so mechanically and just in the time yeah, can you tell me what you heard?
I'm hearing that you're very excited and also nervous, and you were feeling that you were afraid that you would miss something that Edwin was saying. And you also felt a little angry, thinking that you don't like things to be so mechanic and within a limited time frame.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I really like people to like me, and so when I have to show something that I'm not sure if I'm good or not, so I suddenly got nervous, and I think, oh, these people are not gonna like me, and then I'm gonna die alone.
Can I reflect back?
Yeah.
I hear that you like to be liked, you like to be likable, and that you feel that if you do something wrong, that you won't be liked and that you'll die alone.
Yeah. And now I'm again feeling nervous because of the time, and I'm warned that I have to end this when my time is finished. And but I'm aware that it's just, I can look at it as if it's only a training. So there, I think there should be some frames for it. Yeah, so it would be easier for the trainers and for all the people like me to just to take the most in the minimum time. So I can understand that, but my feelings are, my feeling is nervous. I feel nervous.
Yes. So I'm hearing that you are nervous and that the time frame is getting you nervous, and that you do realize that you can take the gist of what you learn
Mhm.
in this session?
Mhm. Mm. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to speak to Sarah. I can't hear you.
There we go. It's unmuted. Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Nice to meet you,
Yes.
Diana.
Yes, I'm very good. I'm excited to be here. I do facilitations now and then, and I'm a trainer. And what I've been finding, I'm in New Zealand. I'm not originally from New Zealand. And what I'm finding is that it is very difficult to start people on a journey. I'm into mindfulness and connecting that with empathy. So when I connect it is through visualizations, and I find that that first step is somehow missing. So I think this is very useful to learn to teach in groups.
If I understood you correctly, you're new to New Zealand and it's challenging to bring out what you're really passionate about with mindfulness as a start, because they're not the visualization of it and the link that is missing from the empathy circle or the empathy listening skills is where you find value to try to connect the two. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes, I'm not new to New Zealand. I've been here for 12 and a half years, but I came here as an adult, so that makes me culturally diverse. I am very culturally diverse anyways, because I grew up in different countries. One of them is the United States. I was in Europe and other places. So culturally, I'm very diverse for a very monocultural place. Or, well, it's bicultural. It's white or European and Maori, but I'm neither of those.
So what I'm hearing is that you find the cultural challenges being diverse and really getting what you're passionate about out there with mindfulness.
Yes, absolutely. I feel heard, and it's because of I believe that one of the issues that there are, and that's very common, is that there is bullying, there's social undermining, there's a lot of just not very social behavior in schools, in companies, and that is what has motivated me to teach these skills. But then the ones that would need you to allow you to do these practices, they need to be receptive as well. And being from a different culture, that makes it sometimes difficult to really speak their same language, if you wish. So I think that empathy circle might be easier for them to understand if it's easy steps.
So what I understand from this is that you're trying to find the avenue to be able to reach to them so it can connect with them, to make it valuable to them, because they're not open to your way or teachings that you're trying to show them, so that you're trying to connect closer to what they're really valuing and then direct them to what you're valuing and combining it.
Yeah, and it's basically it's not only for myself, it's really, I've got that feeling that I need to contribute from all the things that I've learned in my life. And the way that I can is by helping to develop those skills that they, like everyone in the world, as Edwin says, really need to connect, to include, to to have good relationships, and it makes life so much easier too.
So you really want to make sure that you develop those good relationships so it's not about you, it is about them. So that the empathy is very important to be studied to develop those meaningful relationships.
Yeah, and reduce bullying and all sorts of things. Yeah.
That's the time. So,
Yeah, I feel fully heard.
So
I
Sarah,
have
speak to your
So-
listener. Who would like to have listen to you?
I don't have the screen with the names up, but I believe it would be Russell. Try to get the name down. I'm only
There's
one screen.
Tani or Edwin or Syeth.
I talk to Edwin. That would be great.
Okay, I'll listening.
But we missed Larry. Larry, let me speak with Larry, please.
No, Larry's not in this room. He's in another room. There's only 5 of us. You're on a cell phone, so it's hard to see, but yeah. So
I apologize.
yeah, there's only the 5 of us here. He's in another room. So I'm listening. Yeah.
So what's on my mind today is I'm just very grateful, honestly, just to be here. I've really found since last participation, I'm like you, I'm like, everyone should be doing this, trying to, make sure I get it on my social media platforms or who I'm speaking with, out of not just my own personal problems that I have with listening, but as a community. I'm out in the community, and it's very important that we gain these skills to address any situation. So seeing,
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm hearing you're feeling gratitude for taking part, and you're taking it again. You just see the importance of having these skills out in the community.
Absolutely. And expanding those, throughout. First, but I'm one of those, because I'm so self-critical many times, that I really won't act until I gain the skills. So I don't want to walk the talk until I'm performing it properly. So I've been taking some active roles, trying to make sure that I'm learning to address that within myself. That's the most important. Then take it into the community.
So you like to really have practiced, really be skilled yourself in the skills before you take it out to the community. So that's what you're kind of focusing on now, is sort of really practicing and learning those skills.
Right. And I'll admit the primary focus is to unite, whoever I speak with, so we understand. I don't want to cause any divide. That's always at forefront for me.
Yeah, so you really like to bring people together and create the connection and don't want to divide people. So that's a real focus of yours, is what I understand.
And as I heard before, it all comes from, as a child, being very empathetic, naturally seeing people in pain, naturally wanting to be a person that I could listen without giving a suggestion. And that diminished as I aged, and especially over COVID time, because during the isolation and just in studies, it became so self-consuming that I wasn't hearing others. I knew what was going on, but to actually take it in, I saw the diminished capacity on that. So I am very grateful.
Yes, you're very grateful. You had that same experience that growing up, you felt empathic, but as you getting older and in the work and the studies, that you've sort of lost that connection, that empathy. So you had a similar experience as others.
I feel heard. Thank you.
I still have a minute and a half.
Minute and a half. Oh,
But
well,
if you're fully heard, it's up to you. You can use it or not.
no, I could expand on that.
Mhm.
It's like, I really would like to learn how to facilitate in the future, as I practice on, but be guided, so to make sure that it aligns with me properly.
Yeah, so you would like to learn to facilitate, and I hear you really want to be skilled in what you're doing. You want good sense of competence in the practice before you try to connect with others.
Fully heard. Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thanks. And Tani, can I speak to you?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say let me hit the start. When first starting this practice, there is anxiety that comes up, and just sharing that anxiety, I think, is good to just kind of get it out there. That's what I usually do. If I'm feeling anxious, I just share it, and then I feel less anxiety if I put it out there. So that's kind of typical, normal here. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like you are relating with other people here, or maybe even empathizing with other people here in the anxiety that they're feeling about sharing, because you've felt that before and you can relate to that.
Yeah, and it's the longer you do it, you know, if we do several rounds, usually people feel more and more relaxed. So that's why we try to do at least 3 or 4 rounds in the circle, because then you start feeling more relaxed as you do it more.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you're kind of sharing your experience and the way that this works, probably a bit for clarification to help us all understand that we do this several times.
Going to put everyone at ease. Yeah. The other thing is the empathy circle, I think, there's a lot of different practices for empathy, but the empathy circle is something you can do with people who aren't familiar with with empathy skills and training. It's something that can be done quickly, because within 15-20 minutes we can bring pretty much anyone into a circle and learn the process, and you get immediate benefits from it. So I do see that there's a real benefit in the empathy circle, but with its simplicity.
Yeah, it sounds like you're acknowledging that this specific process for building empathy tends to get a sense of a flow to it, where people can jump in and start going along with that flow as they build their empathy and listen to each other.
And we have like this empathy tent that we take out into public spaces, and we go to where there's these political demonstrations. Like here, I live near Berkeley, California. The political right comes to demonstrate, and then the left comes, and they have these knockdown, drag out battles. And we set up the empathy tent there, and we offer just empathic listening, just without time, you sit and we can talk, listen to people, but then we also try to bring the sides together in an empathy circle. And it's amazing that, they're able to take part, and we sort of mediate conflicts with this basic practice.
That's amazing. So it sounds like you're bringing to our attention this other event that you do that you sound excited about, that you're bringing this tent and giving people the opportunity to participate in this active empathizing and sharing.
And if you do a YouTube search on Trump phobia, what both sides fear, there's a documentary that shows the empathy tent in action. So us mediating between the political left and right, and then after the mediation, they hug each other. It's like, yeah. So do check that out. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. So you're sharing with us in clearly a way that is, you're excited about that we're able to take the politics and incorporate empathy into our political conversations, especially at this event that you're talking about.
Yeah. So there's a lot of real benefits to the empathy circle as a first step gateway practice, and all those practices, other practices like nonviolent communication, where you go deeper into feelings and needs, that are behind that can all come later. But this is like a first step that anybody can get into very, very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you're acknowledging the accessibility of this specific process, that it doesn't take a lot of skill and that everyone can jump in right away. And that's why you have a lot of interest and faith in this type of process.
Yeah, I feel very heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I guess I'm speaking now, huh?
Yeah, you just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. I will speak to Saye. Okay. Goodness. I don't even know what to speak about now. Let's see. Okay. Well, I really enjoyed Saye's specifically, how she was able to be so self-reflective and acknowledge how she felt so authentically. And so I think I am going to practice that as well, looking at side and acknowledging that I feel nervous.
So I hear that you enjoyed how I shared and how I was authentic with my feelings and how I was honest with my nervousness. And now you feel encouraged to also share that you are nervous too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that my personality of caring a lot what people think and wanting to be liked by everybody, quite ironically, tends to cover up my ability to active listen, because I actually noticed that more than I would like to, I wasn't silent listening to you all quite well enough. I couldn't help but think a little bit about what I was going to say, or if I was active listening, how I would respond.
So now I hear that you realize that sometimes you also so much like other people to like you, you want other people to like you, that sometimes it comes over to your empathy and listening skills, and sometimes you really you can't fully listen to that person and you're thinking that what you're going to say.
Yes, exactly. That's definitely true. And it frustrates me in the moment because I'm here to learn empathy, and my feelings of wanting to be good at talking are interrupting my progress with empathy. And also the fact that I have to look at empathy as such a productive thing is also frustrating, because I want it to be a natural feeling thing, and I need to get the logic out of my brain and stop looking at everything so logically and productively.
So I hear that sometimes you feel frustrated about this because you're sorry, again, I was struggling with the words, but your listening skills, you're here to train your listening skills and to learn how to be more empathic, but also you want really to be good at it, and you want to do your best, that sometimes you feel frustrated and you feel torn between these two sides.
Secondly, I find it interesting that I often in conversation want to repeat myself over and over because I feel like people aren't listening to me. And I don't feel that here. So while I usually have so much to say, I feel this sense of like, oh, wow, I feel heard. I don't have anything else to say. And this is the only time I'm not talking everyone's ear off naturally. So.
And so you're saying that, sorry, can I interrupt, Edwin?
Sure.
Can we stop?
Yeah.
So sorry, Tani, I was really listening to you, but my nervousness comes really that I just forget. Yeah. You know, I'm really here for you, but when my turn comes and I want to talk, I just start shaking and I forget.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
I understand completely.
You can just have her say it again, and you don't have, if you don't, just say, oh, say it again. It's totally fine. You don't have to, if you didn't take it in, just say, hey, say it again until you or say, can you say that in smaller pieces, you know? So so if you just want to say it again, Tani, and
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Basically, I'm feeling my nervousness as well. And it's interesting that I usually have so much to say. I talk a lot, but here today, it's harder to talk because I'm nervous.
So, okay, I hear your nervousness too, and usually you have so much to say, but now because you're here, you feel like you don't have anything to speak about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, how are we on time? Because I feel
That was
heard.
time too. Yeah, I feel
Perfect.
fully heard. So yeah, great.
Thank you, Saye.
Thank you. I want to speak to Tani. I feel so much gratitude that you hold the space for me and for my nervousness. And I don't know, I don't know what's wrong with me, but the minute that I see other people are looking at me, like more 3 people are looking at me, I feel so nervous about this. And I also, yeah, can you repeat what I said?
Yeah. So it sounds like you're acknowledging this nervousness that you feel because there's people watching you, and it makes you overthink what you're saying, and you're expressing gratitude for the ability to tell us about that and be able to talk about that.
I told about my gratitude for you specifically because you were sharing and I interrupted you, and I wasn't there for you completely, and I mourn that, and I thank you.
So you're thanking me specifically, which I'm not supposed to share this, but you're welcome and thank you. Okay, yeah, so you're sharing your gratitude for me. Thank you so much.
And I'm realizing my other nervousness is that everyone here is their native language is English. I attended a lot of circles online, but it was mostly from Europe and they weren't talking English so well. So I felt like, okay, I'm doing okay. But here, I know there's no judgment from you people, from people who they are listening to me. I kind of felt alone in this. And I think it's related to that I want to be my best always. And here I can't be my best because there are about English, because there are 4 people that they are the best in English. Yes. Because it's their native language.
Yeah, so it sounds like even you're acknowledging that even though this is supposed to be a place of no judgment, you can't help but feel this, and your language barrier is adding to that nervousness because you cannot, understand as quickly and maybe form your thoughts quite as quickly, and that adds to that feeling of nervousness and worry for saying the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for it. I need to calm down my thoughts. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. Edwin, since I just spoke a moment ago, do you want us to jump to someone else?
No, you just keep in the process. It doesn't matter who's speaking
Okay.
So you just select your listener and it's your turn again.
Okay. Let's go with Danny. Let's see. I feel with COVID that I don't have enough time with people. I am an extremely extroverted person. and I work remotely. And especially with COVID, we don't have as many outings or in-person events. And I think that that is helping me feel gratitude for being here with everybody, because I get to see all of your wonderful faces.
Yeah, so I'm hearing that with COVID, you feel maybe a little isolated because you can't see people that much and you work remotely. So that possibly makes you feel more alone. Am I hearing that?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And so I find myself looking to maybe feel those different aspects of connection, relationship. You know, I look for relationship with people more, since I spend so much time working alone. And I also live in a small town that's quite a ways from the city. And so I don't have very many, you know, places I can go as far as to, you know, maybe go, you know, enjoy a coffee with a bunch of people, or go maybe to an in-person event, or go dancing. I love dancing. You know, being so far from the city, plus with COVID, contributes to my loneliness.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit of a social butterfly. You like to go out, meet in cafes, go dancing. And now that you live in a small town, remote from the city, and that makes it more difficult to have those opportunities to connect. You're looking for social connection, and that's something that you're missing. And it makes you feel a little lonely working from home, plus that distance from activities.
Yeah, definitely. I feel hurt in that. And additionally, I feel a sense of gratitude for being here specifically, just because selflessness is a value of mine. Mindfulness is a value of mine. Anything that puts out goodness, good karma, peace, is a strong value of mine. And so being around so many people here in a Zoom call that seem to share overlapping values as me is very comforting. And I feel a sense of community.
So I'm hearing that you feel connected and you feel a sense of community through sharing values with people here. You're feeling connected because there's an overlap of values. You value selflessness, you value mindfulness, you value peace, and you feel that we are a little bit like in the same boat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's comforting, even just to see that there are a lot of people who do value empathy, because in my life, I feel like maybe it's my generation. You know, I went out last night. Yes, I had to travel an hour and a half to go out last night. And I saw mean people. Let me just say that. I saw people who just weren't nice to each other. And it just, I don't think they were having empathy in that moment. And sometimes it makes me feel alone also. It's like, do other people value the well-being of others, you know? And I think that seeing that contributes to me seeking community in people who do value empathy for each other.
Yeah, I'm hearing that when you go out, and you gave an example of yesterday that you went out and you traveled for an hour and a half and you saw many people who were not empathetic, were not practicing empathy, that were even mean to each other, and that kind of reminds you that this circle is so important to you, because you see that we do share that value and that interest and empathy, that you see that in other places you don't, and you think maybe it's a generational thing, but you're seeing meanness out there and you feel connected here. So you appreciate this moment you have with us.
That was
Yes,
the time
exactly.
too. Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll speak to Edwin.
Mhm. Listening.
Yeah, I think I just want to talk about something a little different than I had in mind before, because I see that there's a lot of nervousness, and I just wanted to talk about the nervousness of speaking a different language. Because I do relate to that, like Saya. Although I speak English fluently, and I do consider it my first language, I grew up in different places, and I've had to learn languages from scratch without knowing anything at all. So I totally understand that nervousness, and I'd like to share a little bit my story with that, if
Okay,
you
so
don't
you're really
mind.
identifying with that nervousness of dealing with the new language because you've had experience with that, and you want to share those story around that.
Yeah. In fact, one that's pretty, it was including, I would say it was probably one of my first traumas in life. And that was related to not speaking a language. I grew up in the United States to Argentinian parents. And when I go to Argentina at the age of 10, I am cut off from any sort of communication because my parents, as Argentinians, Spanish speakers, decide that it is time that we speak only Spanish at home. And I didn't speak Spanish. So there you go.
So your experience with another language was you grew up in the United States speaking English, and you went back to Argentina. You didn't speak Spanish, and your parents decided to just speak Spanish, and you had to deal with that language issue.
Yeah. And so I went to school, and everyone spoke Spanish, of course. Nobody spoke English, so I couldn't speak to anyone. I was very anguished. And when I came back home, I wanted to just relax and chat with my mother or brother and father. And that was just not possible. So I had to stay in the dark, as I say, for 3 to 6 months until I started speaking Spanish little by little.
So you went to school, it was all in Spanish. You wanted to come home and be able to share your experience, and they were just speaking Spanish. So you were just feeling in the dark, I guess, feeling isolated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it somehow, having the experience of and now relating to different cultures. I lived then in other cultures, like in Germany. I had to learn German as well as a teenager without speaking the language. So I grew up with anxiety. So that's a common theme throughout my life. And that's why I got into mindfulness. And that has helped me with my anxiety. And through being more mindful, I can deal with my nervousness, and that helps me to then be able to listen, open up to listen and empathize more effectively.
So you had anxiety with the languages, with in Argentina and in Germany with language issues, and had a sense of anxiety around it. And so you started to address that with mindfulness, being mindful of that anxiety as a way of sort of addressing it and getting through it.
And in particular, mindfulness meditation. So that's what really helped me. I learned much later, I even would get panic attacks, and I learned through the doctor actually that I wasn't breathing properly, which I never thought was a thing until I learned that I was breathing too quickly and too shallowly.
So it was more the mindful meditation that was helpful to slow down and breathe slower. That you were breathing too fast is what you'd found, and that was at the time too. So You feel heard?
I
enough?
feel fully heard. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Speak to Sarah.
Hello, Edwin.
Yeah, so let me hit this time here. So I guess it's language issues is the topic. Well, my parents immigrated from Germany after World War II. They were refugees from Germany and they immigrated to the United States, and they were just here 2 years and then I was born. So I grew up in a German subculture in the United States, and yeah.
So you were born into the United States 2 years after your family immigrated from Germany. That's what I understand.
Yeah, they didn't speak English either. So when they came here, so it was, I had German parents. So I was learning German from them. We had all the relatives were here who had also immigrated. They all had all German. They always speak German. And then we went to a German church too, where it was all German. So when I went to kindergarten, I was told I didn't speak English that well. So.
So your family, including your community, all was in German. So when you actually had to go to school, you were confronted with the English language and then having some conflicts there, or some challenges there, I should say.
Yeah. And so my parents made a point of, we're going to speak English at home all the time. So yeah. So anyway, that was sort of my experience with languages and so I'll pause there.
So those were basically your experiences with language. And then your parents also, if I understood you right, started enforcing that you only speak English at home?
Yeah. And then later, because I had German citizenship, I went to Germany later in my teens. And then it was, I know that feeling that Sayeth is speaking of is always concerned that I'm not speaking the German properly. German's a terrible language with all the grammar, and I hate all that grammar. It was just like, and all the genders, it's just like, I hate and so anyway, I know that anxiety, like feeling like I'm just not saying it right, or I'm not going to be saying it properly. So I know that anxiety feelings. I felt it there in Germany too, a lot.
So keeping with the anxiety topic of learning languages, you really felt it as well, and you can relate with that topic. Trying to learn a new language or incorporating it. And that includes grammar. You found German to be very challenging with that as well.
Yeah, I just disagree with the grammar. It's like, how can you divide things into 3 genders? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, I like English, there's just no genders, right? And then it's horrible.
So you found it very horrible that they included having the German language in 3 genders instead of just one neutral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I'm very grateful for people from all over the world coming to these circles and just doing the best they can with it. And we do mention that quite often, that we're just for whoever's coming from any country, that they're very welcome. We're just grateful that they are willing to give it a try and do what they can. So
you're very, very grateful that especially your the countries that are participating in the Empathy Circle is very humbling to you, is what I'm hearing.
Yep, I feel fully heard.
My turn?
Yep.
Because I don't have the names up, pronunciation, I'm not sure, was it Saya?
Yeah.
Saya. I don't know your name correctly.
Saya.
Sayed. Sorry about that. Sayed, I'm really just moved. I wanted to say I'm very moved on what you're sharing. That would be
I didn't hear that word. You sorry.
I'm very moved on the story and that you're sharing your openness and how you're feeling. So I'm quite moved. If I could, I'd give you a hug.
Oh. So I hear that you're feeling moved by my sharing.
Yes. And to continue on the topic of anxieties and the the barriers we have with language. I'll share a little bit of my story as well. I'm an
Yeah.
immigrant from Germany, came from Germany when I was 10 years old. And those anxieties are very harsh to deal with. That's how I landed here, because my journey came from learning resiliency, which incorporates the mindfulness and emotional intelligence all combined. So, and that's been my avenue.
So about the anxiety and language barrier, you have your own story, and your parents also immigrated from Germany. Yeah.
So, and then the incorporation of finding that tool that helps you, I find, is most valuable. Each of us finding our own path. Mine was from learning resiliency, and it's, the journey continues, but it's very helpful, especially to overcome those feelings and those thoughts that really control you at times. You don't want them to control you. So just finding some skills, whatever resonates, is what I found most important.
And you think everyone find their own way to cope with these kind of anxieties, and it is important for each one of us to find that one road that resonates the most with us.
I fully heard on that. What else could I talk about? I have a lot of concern, or I have a lot of concern on how we can communicate more effectively in a business sense.
Business sense?
Meaning how the communication barriers can be resolved to solve problems. If I am a team leader as a manager, how can I incorporate this training into developing a team so they all communicate effectively? And I'm finding that this is the avenue.
Yeah, so you find it really interesting and important, and you're wondering how to connect between empathy and listening empathically and doing it in the workplace or as a team manager between people.
We still have time? I felt fully heard. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Such a
you.
beautiful smile.
So you feel heard? You're done? So I talked to Edwin.
Listening.
Yeah. So I also have a story because I moved to Turkey 3 years ago. So I'm from Iran, and I had this. Actually, my parents are native Turkish speakers, but Iranian Turkish are different from people in Turkey, actually. So the language is also different. So I learned it by myself, mostly from television while I was in Iran. But then when I came here, yeah, it was a bit hard to feel integrated with people.
So you have a story too about migration and integration, that your parents are from Turkey, but they were in Iran. They speak, sounds like a different dialect. So you had to learn Iranian, you're sort of on your own. And then when you get back to Turkey, you have to learn that there's a different dialects. And so a lot of struggles with having to learn new languages.
Actually, I didn't have problem learning Iranian. My parents spoke Persian with me and also in school, so I had that language. But here in Turkey, I learned this language while I was in Iran from TV and films.
Oh, so actually your parents did speak Iranian with you, so you learned that. So there wasn't the struggle, and you learned the language that you're now in from the Turkish, you learn that from watching TV and kind of on your own.
Yes. And the most problem that I have is I'm doing a master in university now, and it's in Turkish, and I read a lot of academic essays, and sometimes we present it in classroom, and I have a lot of academic thoughts, but I just can't explain it in another language. Even in English, it's easier because I've read it and I've studied it academically for years, the English, but Turkish, I learned it, I was self-taught. So in academic version, it's really hard, and I feel so shaken and nervous while I have to write something academic or talk something academic in school.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot of academic reading and studying, and when you have to present it in Turkish, it's a real challenge. There's a lot of anxiety and nervousness about that, because it doesn't come so naturally as.
Yeah. And the other problem is that when I want to express myself, especially with my boyfriend, he's Turkish, and when we got in a fight, I just forget how to express myself in English, in Turkish, and I feel like I lost every time I have to lose this fight. I know it's not a fight, and there's no losing or winning, but again, I can't express myself fully.
Mm-hmm. So when you're having a fight or an argument with your boyfriend, it's like you just can't, it sounds like you just can't find the words to really express yourself the sort of the way that you want to, and maybe some frustration around that.
Yeah, it was my story about language, and now I want to share that I really feel more relaxed and more relieved, and I feel gratitude for myself and for people here holding space with me. And once I had a therapist when I was having this really hard panic attacks. She told me that sometimes just try not to leave the space, or try just to stay. And because before that, I just ran away from people or from the spaces who I was feeling anxious. And today here, I was also like that. At some point, I just wanted to close the laptop and go away. And I feel gratitude that I didn't do that, and I stayed with you guys. Yeah, it feels good.
Okay, so you were feeling anxious, some anxiety at the beginning, and your tendency has been to withdraw, to leave. You were thinking of leaving, just closing the laptop, but your therapist has said, stay with it, stay present with it, in which you did. And now you sound like you've overcome a lot of that anxiety, and you're feeling gratitude for the space, and also maybe some satisfaction that you stayed present with your anxiety instead of leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, we only have about 2 or 3 minutes before we go to the main room. So is there we just maybe open it up, any comments or questions? I'm very grateful for everyone taking part. I'm glad you stayed present with it. I could feel, I thought, oh, maybe she's going to leave any moment, but you did stay present. So I'm really glad that you did.
I'll add to that, Edwin. I am very grateful, and I love how everything just came together. So it's very nice to see that. You know, common denominator definitely seemed like it's around anxieties, and then that connection that we created, and how you guys helped facilitate that. It was really nice. And it was very valuable to each and every one of us. I'm very happy. Can't wait to learn more.
I'm very grateful too, and really enjoyed the flow and how we somehow went with the same theme because we kind of all are in the same boat some way. So yeah, it was really lovely to hear different stories, but how we are the same in humanity. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so staying with the process, I think I think the empathy slowly, if people hear each other, that whatever the issues are, if it's a conflict or feelings, that they can sort of be worked through, and a sense of connection can, over time be created. So yeah. So Tani, any final thoughts before we go back?
Well, on all of this talk about languages, I just wanted to throw out there that as someone who grew up in a small town with a lot of white people, whenever I would, before I had more experience with, cultural diversity, when someone was good at speaking, even though you could tell they had an accent, if they seemed good at speaking, we would talk to them very quickly. So we would overestimate your ability. And so, Saye, for instance, you're very good at speaking English, right? There's complicated words that you have to think about, but because you are so good at speaking English, when you talk to someone who speaks English, they're going to have a tendency to speak very quickly because they might overestimate how well you can speak it because you speak it really well. But that's a side thing.
Yeah, so everyone will be popping in shortly. Here's that link too to the empathy. I think Donnie had asked me about that.
Yeah.
I just put it into the chat for that video. There's a video of the empathy tent.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Look forward to watching it.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Okay, I think everyone's back. Larry?
So welcome back, everyone. And now we would like for each of you to take about maybe 30 seconds to a minute to share, what this experience is like to participate in the Empathy Circle. Any insights that came from this experience? And I'll just go around the screen and starting with, I hope I say the name correctly, Saya. Would you share what the experience was like for you?
Yeah, it was relieving. At first, I had a lot of anxieties, and then I felt relieved, and I was questioning my skills on empathy, on giving empathy, but then with my friends in the room and with me not giving up, I felt relieved that, okay, you can do that. You can still do this. And I feel gratitude also. Yeah, it was really good experience. Thank you all.
Thank you, Saya. And Danny, would you share, please?
Yes, I also feel lots of gratitude for being able to participate in an empathy circle and see how it works. And I saw that while we had more than one round to go, it felt more comfortable with time, and a theme developed, and it was around anxiety. And I could see the humanity in everyone, and that makes you somehow connect more. And so you can see empathy in action. So I really enjoyed it very much.
Thank you, Danny. And Sarah, would you share, please?
Absolutely. I think as Diane just said, the empathy in action actually really came through as the process of continued communications, and how we really collectively started sharing our own experiences on the same topics. It just became very fluid, naturally. as that's right, the best way I could explain it. It became very soft and fluid in its circle for connections.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
And Tani, would you share, please?
Hi, yeah. I agree with Sarah that it kind of went into this flow, which, you know, I didn't know what to expect because I've never done an empathy circle or really anything like it. It's a new way to assess empathy, a new way to practice it that I haven't done before. And I, you know, Danny mentioned that she felt the humanity of us as we spoke. And I agree with that too, because it felt like as we felt heard, suddenly many of our walls that we may naturally put up kind of came down, because it was like, wow, you're actually hearing me, then therefore I can be vulnerable. And so that was really sweet to connect with everyone and be able to be authentic to each other about our feelings.
Thank you, Tani. And Andrea, would you share, please?
Certainly. I also feel gratitude. It was very interesting, very unexpected, but I am aware that I don't feel the anxiety that a lot of people feel as much. And so I feel excited, even if it's tricky.
Thank you, Andrea. And Kevin, would you share, please?
So I'm from Texas, right? So we tend to be a little blunt. I've been a real horse ass towards my wife. And, you know, I think what this has made me realize is all the things that she's been telling me, because when we first married, life was great. And then, as I said in the previous breakout session, then somehow I took the train off the track because it wasn't my wife, it was me. And she's been trying to put the train back on the track for the last, I don't know, few years, right? She's more gracious, and she expresses the gratitude and graciousness that I need to be expressing myself. So what have I learned? We're going to have a much better, stronger marriage starting right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And Sheila, would you share, please? Shaila, sorry.
Sure. Thank you for correcting the pronunciation. Appreciate it. Our group was just amazing. And I am going to use the word magical, because the empathy circle, besides being powerful, it is also magical. It's just amazing what it brings out of each one of us. One of the things that we experienced in our group was when Isa started the movement, I would say, of listening with our bodies. I know that Edwin has mentioned this before, and I'd like to actually quickly put it in the chat to everyone. It's, Edwin, please correct me if I'm wrong. It is focusing.org. And I think there are members in our group who would really appreciate looking into that. And it's by Jean, it's about Jean Gendelins, where it brings us, it helps us be present in a body and listen with our bodies. So it was a whole different experience. And I truly believe that in order to be present, we need to be in our bodies and not in our minds. And this is a great springboard to more of that type of listening. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sheila. And Russo, would you share, please?
Yeah, so I was in Shayla's group. It was magical. You know, the conversation for me started at the intellectual level, and then, you know, because of everyone's presence, it moved down to the body and then ultimately to the heart. Having an experiential kind of you know, listening with the body was something that, I mean, it wasn't choreographed. It just kind of happened, and it really surprised me. And it was an amazing experience. So thank you.
Thank you, Russo. And Mary, would you share, please?
Yes, I will share. I enjoyed myself as I did the last time. Looking forward to doing more of these and maybe doing the facilitating. because I love people. And I really enjoyed it and like to get to know the individuals in my group a lot better.
Thank you, Mary. And Faith, would you share, please?
Yes, today was my first time and it was a great experience. Shout out to our facilitator, Miss Dina, and her assistant, Miss Ann. I found that listening was easy for me, but for me, the struggle was the speaking part. It made me realize how much of my communication is in response. And so having time with a blank slate and having to come up with original things to speak about was difficult for me, especially the second time around. The first time was much easier. We had the prompt. But the second time I was like, I don't have anything to say. And that is vulnerability has been something that I'm working on, but it held the mirror up again for me that I need to work on being able to speak and not just be on the receiving end, but actually having something to offer to the group. So it was an interesting experience and I'm excited about growing in that area.
Thank you, Faith. And Isa, would you share, please?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. I really enjoyed my second time. It's my second time coming to the group. I feel it was very deep. A lot of slowing down, really being able to connect with each other and really be present in the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Isa. And Dina, would you share, please?
Yes, this was my second time being able to facilitate. I appreciate Miss Ann's support. And then I was in the group with my Toastmaster people. So it was very good experience. Miss Mary challenged me a little bit. She was a respectful rebel, offering her editorials. So that was good. We gave her feedback on that. So we know the next time she's going to be better. But it was so much fun and Miss Ann was so supportive. So I'm just really enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. BJ, would you share, please?
Sure. Thank you, Bill, Valerie, Andrea, and Kevin. It was engaging, and because I was so engrossed, you know, we went over on time a couple of times, but it was very exciting, and I continued to learn new things about the process and new things about myself, because each topic I could relate to in some manner. So it was engaging. Thanks.
You were great, BJ.
And Valerie, thank you, BJ. And Valeria, would you share, please?
Hi. So yeah, I was also in the same group. I wanted to say thank you to everyone. And it was a wonderful reminder to me of just the art of practice and how very often going into a setting, you can intellectualize and then be reminded quickly of how important it is, the whole body listening. By the way, I didn't know that was a thing. So thank you for the link sharing. But how important it is to remain in our body and to practice self-empathy. And that's always a great reminder. So thanks to my group and thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, of all the participants today, did I miss anyone? And Edmund, do we have time to ask the trainees and trainers?
Yeah, I think we have time. We have got 8 minutes.
All right, so I'm scanning the screen. And Bill, how was it for you?
Oh, it was great. I really am impressed in the courage that people who come here show to try something new and to try to change the world. And I thought BJ did a great job. Thanks.
And Anne, how was it? Thank you, Bill. How was it for you, Anne? Whoops, you're on mute.
I was coughing. It was a privilege to be in a room with Dina and Mary and others, and Faith, and just to do a tiny bit to support Dina in her brilliant facilitation. And I look forward to seeing all of you again. I hope you're all back.
Thank you, Anne. And I was in a room with Shyla, Isa, and Rousseau, and it was really amazing. I heard the word magical used, and it really fits. It was so amazing. The space that was created with Isa noticing the feelings and, breathing into what each one of us is feeling. And that just unbelievable, the way the room the circle just kept expanding on that. So it was amazing. Thank you all. And if I haven't left anyone out, then I want to ask Edwin, the gentleman who created these amazing empathy circles, your feedback, please.
As usual, it was very delightful. Just the sense of having a community together that are valuing sort of a positive empathic connection is just very fulfilling. Just to see everyone's faces here and to feel all that constructive energy. I think it gives me hope, and it takes work, takes commitment. And I do feel that we can change the world with this, with listening and all these other practices. Someone has NVC background. That's another excellent skill set. The focusing, I love focusing. I think I was hearing you mention focusing coming into the body. And all those practices actually have their root in the work of Carl Rogers with the empathic listening and active listening. And it's just branched out into a lot of different directions. But I think with the empathy circle is a really good first step practice. It'll take you a long way. And then there's a lot of other practices that you can use this basic skill in. So in terms of our next steps, I'm going to put this into the chat. If you see that, we have the cohort 13D that starts on January 31st. You're welcome to, there's a link there. You can sign up already if you would like. I will be doing intro cafes during the month of January every Monday, this slot. On the 3rd, we're taking next week off, and then on the 3rd, we'll be here again. So you're welcome to come and take as many of these as you would like. And then we'll also have the intro cafes starting on Saturdays. We just finished our cohort, our Saturday cohort, just finished last week. And during that time slot for the next 2 months or so, we'll be having intro cafes on Saturdays if you can make those. And there is the link there to sign up for the training, and there's some links there to the intro cafes too. And then if you could, you see there's a second link to fill out the intro. When is the next Saturday cohort? The next Saturday cohort will probably be in April. We kind of rotate. We have one training that goes for 5 weeks. Then we have a month in between, and then we start the next cohort on an alternating day. So it'll probably be, April or so. But if there's more interest, we can start it sooner too, if we fill the cohort. Anne, do you have something?
Yeah, just agreeing. If we've got people ready, we can start earlier, probably.
Yeah, and we could take up to 40 participants in a cohort. We found that the structure can hold that. And if you could click on that link for the feedback link, and maybe I'll put that in there one more time. Let me put that in, circle feedback form. So if you actually take a second right now to click on that, if you're able to, And just add your email to it. Add your email. Everybody got that? And your name. And so we're going to just leave you with that form. If you could fill that out, that I can add you to the our email list. We have a Empathy Circle email list, and we also send out announcements there. And this also lets us know, you know, how involved you'd like to be. So with that, I hope to see you next week again. I mean, following week in 2 weeks. I hope you'll join us again. You can join these as often as you would like. And we like to end with our jazz hands. So if you have your camera off and you're willing to turn on your cameras, Sarah and Valerie, just for a second, so we can get a group portrait. There we go. Mary, Valerie. So, okay. So until next time, thank you so much. And if the facilitators could stay back for our debrief, would appreciate that.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And
you.
thank you, Edwin.
Glad you could join us. See you next time. And we'll do
See
an
ya.
interview, Danny. We're going to set up that interview about your book.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope to get you the book as well, but we'll take very long from here, from New
Yeah.
Zealand.
I like to add it to my collection. Those are all books, 3 shelves of empathy books. I'd love to have, I like to have a hard copy of each
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
Well, glad
lovely.
you could join us and, you know, get that odd hour or two for New Zealand. I know it's a,
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. 7
Oh.
a.m. is better
Oh.
than 6.
oh, okay, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, now that we changed. Before
Yeah.
it was 6 a.m. No, I couldn't make 6.
Yeah, I
I'm a
hear
night
you on
owl,
that.
so thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. Okay.